Let's see what we got going. Make sure it's good on the YouTube channel. I don't see it just yet. Do you see it? Oh, I see it. I see it. All right. Wait for a couple of lads to arrive in. Oh, did the Jets get their onside kick? Oh, nope. They failed miserably. It's unfortunate. Unfortunate for the Jets. Yo, did you watch any of that game? Zach Wilson looks terrible. Oh, my God.
Nah, didn't watch it. Heard about it. Heard he's not playing too well. It's pretty unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, if only everyone had Brian Dable. If only every struggling quarterback in the league had Mr. Brian Dable to elevate his game. But I'll tell you what, I feel like this is a very winnable game for the Giants. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we can win this game, but the injuries are definitely starting to get on my nerves. Like we keep losing. Like right as we get a little bit of consistency, some continuity, we lose a couple of big guys, and it's freaking annoying. Angry bus driver, what is good, my friend? Philip Santana, yo, what is good? Anthony Loretti, what's good, my guy? How we doing today? Giants getting ready to gear up and play Seattle in Seattle. Going to be really, really fun. But at the end of the day, we have some injuries to deal with. I'm kind of excited to talk about how we can get away with this win today before the bye week. And honestly, this bye week couldn't have come at a better time. You know, like we have a couple of guys, and Nick Gates is back today. That's a freaking huge addition to this team. So amazing that he's able to make that recovery. I did not think he'd even be able to walk again, let alone play football less than a year later, or a little bit more than a year later. Killer Cam, what's going on, my guy? Andrew Bus Driver, Giants 24, Seahawks 17. Pretty good prediction. Mine was 24-21. We'll do that at the end of the episode before we head over to the game. James, what's good, my friend? Who you guys thinking about today? Who you guys think is going to step up and have a big day for this Giants team? Because right now, my impact player for today is Wan'Dale Robinson. Third week kind of back from that injury. He's been getting more and more installed into this offense. Had 6 catches on 8 targets last week. I'm feeling like he's going to be an impact player for this team today. Of course, the easy one would be Saquon Barkley or Daniel Jones. But I think Wan'Dale, the passing game is going to be tough because you got, Tyree Phillips and you got Josh Azudu, who aren't very great pass protectors on that offensive line. So, we're going to be running the football pretty aggressively. But Wan'Dale, you can throw him the ball around the line of scrimmage and just kind of let him work. Just let him go to work. Red zone stuff, I think he's going to be, making an impact. And, James Slayton, he had a big touchdown last week. He obviously is one of our more reliable receivers right now, despite some drops every now and then. He's been awesome downfield. Anthony, who are you looking at right now is saying, like, this is the guy that's going to change the course of this game and give us a chance to win?
Saquon Barkley. I mean, absolutely. Saquon Barkley has been carrying the Giants to wins. Throughout the season, he's playing on another level. He looks like the NFL Comeback Player of the Year, arguably MVP. He's definitely in the conversation in my eyes. The Giants are 6-1, and a big part of that is because Saquon Barkley has been rushing so effectively, creating so many yards from scrimmage, scoring a lot of touchdowns. He's been having the season of his career. Of course, Daniel Jones is also playing really well. If he can continue to do that, keep the ball clean, the Giants will be in the game and hopefully be able to win. But kind of one of those sleeper names to point out, Dexter Lawrence. He's been disrupting opposing offenses all year long. If he can get a couple nice pressures or maybe a sack or, some nice NFL or some nice run defenses, he can take the Giants to the next level here against this Seahawks offense that can really rush the football. So Dexter Lawrence is one of those guys that I think needs to stand out and have a really solid performance.
Definitely. Angry bus driver, you made an interesting point. Thibodeau will have 2 sacks. Refs will be calling those holds. And I found it kind of funny because Thibodeau said this week that he's going to start selling those holds more. I guess he was trying to kind of bulldoze through those blockers and whatnot. He was like, Cam Robinson's kind of old now. What are your thoughts on him being just kind of showing that hold a little bit more? Is that something that you think actually players do to try and get those calls, try to act it out a little bit, make it look a little bit more aggressive than you think that's pretty prominent, right?
Yeah. I definitely think that players get into their acting bag a little bit, try and sell those calls, and that's what they should do. If you feel like you're being held, you should really show that you feel like you're being held and try and get that call, because at the end of the day, if you show it and you don't get the call, okay, showing it didn't hurt you. It's never, you don't get penalized for flopping, right? There's no penalty to trying to sell a call, but you might get the call. You might sell it, you might get it, and then it's only a benefit for the team. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And Killer Cam, what receiver do you think the Giants will trade for? I don't know if any of you guys watched that Denver game this morning, but Jerry Jeudy looked pretty damn good. He had a touchdown, had a nice 25-yard grab at one point. He's a solid player, man. I know we've talked about him. A lot of people have. I think him and Brandon Cooks has also been linked to the Giants. I know Adam Schefter reported that this morning, along with a couple others yesterday. But Brandon Cooks comes with a monster contract, right? Like $18 million you have to pay him next year. How are the Giants? They have $54 million opening up, but that's with Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones leaving, right? You need to sign maybe one, if not both of them, and then you have no money left over. So how are you going to fit $18 million of Brandon Cooks money? Unless the Texans are just going to consume a lot of that contract, like I don't know exactly what they're going to do there. Maybe they transition, maybe like they change his contract before they trade him away, so it's a lower cap hit. Like who knows? But I'll tell you what, Jerry Jeudy's cheap. He's extremely affordable and he's a talented player. People have mentioned the drops. People have been concerned about that. He has as many drops as Jalen Waddle does and Jamar Chase does this year, and Brandon Cooks. So, you're looking at guys that are some of the best receivers in football. I'm not really concerned about the drops. I really just think we need a receiver who understands what we're trying to do here. And Brian Daboll worked with him in Alabama for a season. So, Jeudy definitely makes sense. I saw that the Steelers want a second-round pick for Chase Claypool, but maybe now they don't want to trade him. I'm not a big fan of Chase Claypool right now in this system. I don't think that he necessarily fits what we're trying to do. But Anthony, when you're looking at a receiver like Jerry Jeudy, what do you think the upside is to him and maybe why the Giants would target him in terms of like how he'd fit in our scheme?
Yeah, I think the upside is WR1 potential, and I think the way that he fits in the scheme is allowing Daniel Jones to get the ball out of his hands quickly, taking some pressure off of the quarterback because he's a very good route runner, especially in the short to intermediate range, so he can get open very quickly. Daniel Jones, snap, pass, receivers open, there you go. Because that's kind of been the problem, right? Daniel Jones is still facing a lot of pressure. Maybe not from his blind side because Andrew Thomas is just a beast, but from pretty much everywhere else, he's facing a lot of pressure. So for Daniel Jones, getting the ball out of his hands quickly has kind of been the game plan for the Giants. They haven't had him, stay in the pocket too long or take too many deep shots. They've been very quick. It's a lot of a quick passing attack from the New York Giants offense right now. And I think that Jerry Jeudy fits a quick passing attack perfectly because he's such a good route runner. Now, how expensive is he going to be? Probably a little bit more expensive after this week's performance. If it was, a late third, it's probably a high third now. So you got to keep that in mind because that performance today really cemented him as a solid receiver with a lot of great potential. And I think that there are a lot of teams who are interested. I think the Giants probably have the most interest because they need receiver help, maybe more than anybody in the NFL right now who's winning games. Plus, Jerry Jeudy, connection to Brian Daboll, there's that familiarity there. I think that's really important to bring into consideration. But another receiver to keep an eye on, I know Adam Schefter reported this yesterday, that the Giants have some interest, is Brandon Cooks. And I mentioned that on Fan Friday when we did the episode the other day. I said Brandon Cooks might be another name to keep an eye on. Maybe I have more info than Adam Schefter did, maybe not. But I think that makes a lot of sense. He's a veteran receiver who's also quick guy who can get open quickly in the short passing game, create things for the offense. So I think Brandon Cooks is another name to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's just the money doesn't make much sense to me in terms of Brandon Cooks, but we'll see. Now today, this is going to be an interesting game for the Giants because Seattle has a very, very good running game. Kenneth Walker is on fire right now at 2 touchdowns for my fantasy team last week. Stopping him's tough because the Giants have really struggled against the run recently. So they kind of have to bounce back in a way. The linebackers got to step up. There are a lot of people, Anthony, I think you said the other day, your impact player was Tate Crowder for this game in another video. And he's a guy that, like, when he's on his game, can contribute a lot towards stopping the run. He's not a good coverage guy, but Jalen Smith, Landon Collins, maybe he gets a lot of reps today. He was activated. So the question is, how do you stop Kenneth Walker? How do you stop this Seattle offense? They have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett actually active for today's game. So both of them might be on a snap count. They might not be utilized all that much because I know they're both dealing with pretty serious injuries that, they're kind of just playing through. So, we'll see how much they can do. We'll see how much they target them. But I think they're more so just going to be distractions and just taking up space rather than being focal points in the offense. I think you're going to see a lot of Will Dillsley. I think you're going to see a lot of Kenneth Walker. These are Geno Smith, has his receivers, but Tyler Lockett's tough, man. You got to stop him downfield. He just somehow ends up 50 yards downfield wide open. I don't understand how he does it, but he is just one of those guys. He's a tremendous route runner and a really smart football player. DK Metcalf, get him the ball in his hands and he'll just run over guys. He'll just take the ball extra yards and pick up first downs and whatnot. Him and Adoree Jackson, I know him and James Bradbury had a hell of a matchup last year. But I'll tell you what, was it 2 years ago? One of those years, but Adoree Jackson, I think, can stand up. I know he's a little bit smaller than DK Metcalf, but just sticky coverage, man. When you're looking at this Seattle offense, I guess the key is putting pressure on Geno. Force Geno to beat the Giants with his arm. He's been playing well. But Kayvon Thibodeau, someone mentioned it earlier, he's got to have a big game. Dexter Lawrence got to collapse that interior pocket. Their tackles have been pretty solid this year. So, they have Jawan Taylor, I believe, or rather, he was on Jacksonville. But they have some good players on that offensive line. When you're looking at this Seattle Seahawks team and this offense, how do you think they kind of limit them? Because they've been pretty high octane recently.
Yeah, they have been high octane, and that's my biggest concern for the Giants in this game. If they are not able to play that bend, don't break defense, it could get ugly because the Seahawks have the ability to put up 30, 40 points in a game, and the Giants offense hasn't proven that they have that ability. The Giants offense can hang into games, let the defense make a play and capitalize. That's how the Giants have been playing, waiting for the opposing team to make a mistake and then capitalizing on that mistake. But if this turns into a shootout, I'm not so confident that the Giants are going to win in a shootout. They need to keep playing the same brand of football that they've been playing all season, where you keep it close and you capitalize on those mistakes. So for the Seahawks offense, they're going to try and go out there and put up a bunch of points in a hurry because those shootouts, they're tending to win those shootouts. And again, against a team like the Giants, they're probably going to win a shootout. So for the Giants defense, what they need to do, basically hold the running game in check, make sure that they are not allowing the Seahawks to put up an abundance of points. And I think those linebackers are going to play a big part in that. And of course, the coverage team, the secondary has a couple of injuries here and there, but they're starting to get a little bit healthier. Fabian Moreau has been a really nice pickup, surprisingly. And if he can continue to perform well, I think that the Giants defense can be in good shape against some of those receivers. But as you mentioned, a mean running game from the Seattle Seahawks. If you don't slow that game down, then the Giants are going to be costing themselves.
Yeah, those linebackers though, like honestly, I see a potentially nice game here for Landon Collins. Philip Santana, you just said Belton picked 6 today. I'd love to see that. Belton had 5 interceptions last year for Iowa. He's a really, really good zone coverage, early, like shallow portion of the field kind of scanner. Really good vision in that sense. So if he can undercut one of those routes, totally possible. We'll see what happens. But those linebackers are the catalyst. I trust Dexter Lawrence. I trust Leonard Williams. I trust Kayvon Thibodeau. I know Jihad Ward's a really good run defender, but Tate Crowder and Jalen Smith, you don't know what version of them you're going to get any single Sunday. It could be a really good version, or an average version, or a terrible version. They got to step up today. They're in Seattle. They got the 12th man. They're loud. They're really going to put the pressure on the Giants. And again, clean football keeps you in games. If anybody just watched that Jets game, Zach Wilson just threw 3 interceptions, 2 of them coming in the second half, and 2 of them are really freaking ugly. So you're looking at what happens when you throw interceptions and turn the ball over. You lose the game, and you don't even make it close for yourself. If Zach Wilson doesn't turn the ball over, the Jets are in that game. But that's why the Giants have been in games. They're winning the turnover margin every single week. They're not turning it over, and that really is what keeps them involved. You're not going to get blown out if you keep the ball in your hands and if you pin the defense back, pin opposing offenses back. Because if you don't turn the ball over, most likely you're either scoring or you're punting and forcing the opposing offense to drive the entire length of the field. And that's exactly what the Giants have been doing. They've just been playing clean football. And ultimately, that's really what's making the difference for this Giants team. So in my opinion, like the number one catalyst for this Giants offense is to maintain that, just protect the football at all costs. Daniel Jones makes smart decisions. He's been throwing the ball out of the end zone, not trying to risk it too much. It's definitely a really, really good thing for this Giants team. And I think that DJ is elevating his game because of that variable alone, with the football in his hands and being safe and, maneuvering the pocket. I don't know what Brian Daboll did to get this version out of him, but it's just been insane what they've done. But how important do you think that keeping the ball safe is for this Giants offense, and how it's kind of played into their overall strategy to, keep the games close in the fourth quarter, and then they just turn it on. Everyone suddenly just flips a switch and they're able to score some points and take late leads and give themselves a chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, playing the clean football is playing the winning football, as I've been mentioning, right? So for the Giants, I mean, again, they're not making those mistakes to put themselves in position to lose those games. They're playing clean. They're capitalizing on other teams' mistakes. And that's the main thing here, is when the Giants are playing this conservative brand of football and keeping the ball out of harm's way, they are tending to force turnovers from the other team. And then when that happens, they're able to capitalize, score some touchdowns, get some points on the board in response. And that's how the Giants have been winning those games. Again, just not letting them beat themselves. They're letting the other team beat themselves. So hopefully with the Seattle Seahawks, that's what happens today. I think Geno Smith, if you can get an interception at him or force some sort of fumble, and then you can capitalize on that, that's how you're going to win this game if you're the New York Giants. Again, just capitalizing on the other team's mistakes and not making mistakes of your own. Again, Daniel Jones is playing really good. He's keeping the ball out of harm's way pretty much every single game now. It's been a few weeks since he's had a turnover, especially a costly one. But if you go ahead and you take a look at what Saquon Barkley is doing as well. No fumbles on the year other than the one that went out of bounds against Tennessee, but that was on a huge run. So he's also keeping the ball clean. So for the New York Giants offense, if they can continue to keep the ball clean, capitalize on the mistakes of the opponents, that's how they can continue to win these games.
Yeah, and Steven, I just saw that on Twitter. DJ Moore just caught a Hail Mary pass from PJ Walker with 14 seconds left. I don't understand what are the Falcons doing? They're not even playing in the end zone. TJ Moore just ran straight by him, two guys, and caught that easily. That's insane. I mean, a lot of people want DJ Moore again. He's another guy with a huge cap hit, so I don't know if the Giants can even find a way to get him, but he's a star. He's a star. He's a stud. He's one of those young guys you build a foundation around at the receiver position, getting paid a lot of money. So I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Giants in terms of their salary situation, the guys they need to retain. But man, that was sick. That was an awesome play from DJ Moore. Yes, I'd love to have him. Do I think it's realistic? Probably not. But I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like this is kind of a trap game for the Giants. I feel like, we're 6-1. We're feeling good. We're feeling optimistic and pretty happy about what the state of this team is, but the injuries, we got Evan Neal and Ben Bredeson out now, and Bredeson's been like quietly really, really good recently. So I've been pretty impressed with him. I haven't heard his name at all, which is generally a good thing for offensive linemen. But now you got, Josh Azudu, not a great pass pro guy. And then you have Tyree Phillips, who's not great either. He has not much experience. So, what do you think about this game kind of feeling? Do you feel like it's a trap game? I feel like I expect the Giants to win, but I'm also kind of nervous that this is going to be more difficult than I think.
Yeah, I'm not setting that expectation for the New York Giants in this game because I think this is going to be a really difficult matchup. I think, you're traveling on the road all the way to Seattle. You're facing the Seahawks at home. It's a very tough environment to play in if you're the opposing team or the visiting team, rather. And that's what the New York Giants are. So this is definitely going to be a tough environment game. And I think on paper, the Seahawks are a pretty decent football team. They're playing a nice brand of football. Rushing attack, similar to the Giants, is propelling their offense. And they also do have the ability to put up a lot of points, as I've mentioned. They have scored games with over 30, scored games with over 40 points in a single game. So for the New York Giants, a team that hasn't reached 30 points in a game yet this year, going on the road and facing this team in this environment, it's not going to be easy. So for the Giants, I do think this is a difficult matchup. Do I think it's winnable? Yes. The Giants have the better record. They're playing better football right now. They're on a roll. But the Seahawks are also on a roll of their own, maybe not quite like the Giants, but this is not going to be an easy game. This is no walk in the park for New York. So I think this does come down to the wire once again. If the Giants want to win, it's probably going to be on the back of a Daniel Jones comeback drive, fourth quarter comeback again. And really, that's how the Giants have been winning all year. So that shouldn't be anything crazy to them. That should be something that they're used to. So if the Giants can go ahead and play the same brand of football that they've been playing, they can go ahead and get that win. But again, it's going to be hard fought, just like this last game versus Jacksonville was, on the road, tough environment. That's how the Giants have to play in order to win this game. And also, Steven, I saw that ridiculous. Can't believe it. I mean, so first of all, the Falcons just continue to blow late leads, but then the Panthers are just the Panthers. So of course they missed the extra point. It was a longer extra point.
It was a 48-yard celebratory penalty, 48-yard kick for the extra point. How stupid could you be? How does it even happen? How do you find yourself kicking a 48-yard extra point? How is that even possible? That's unbelievable. Oh, he threw his helmet. Oh my God, that's insane. Class. I mean, talking about two teams that just are so obviously just trying to beat themselves like all the time. See, like the Giants wouldn't do that. I maybe Tony would have done that, but I feel like this Giants team's pretty disciplined. They're not going to do it. That's absolutely hilarious. Oh my goodness. I can't. That's a crazy game though. But this is definitely what I like about the Giants though, is that they're like very disciplined. They're they execute and they're not going to showboat like that. They're going to throw their helmets into the stands. They're not going to do anything to hurt themselves. And like, that's kind of like what Joe Judge preached, but never actually came to fruition. I'll never forget when Golden Tate ran up to the camera and was like, they need to feed me more. They need to throw the ball more to me. And then they had that whole discussion with him and there was like a whole thing. It's like, this Giants team isn't doing that. They don't have players that are like kind of fighting against the culture. But with 5 minutes left as this game starts, my friends, drop your score predictions below. We'll talk about that for a second here. Like I said before, I'm thinking 24-21 Giants. Graham Gano game-winning field goal against the 12th man in the wind. I know there's 12 miles an hour of wind in Seattle today, 72% humidity, 55 degrees. It's going to be a weird day, a weird weather day for the Giants in Seattle. But I'll tell you what, I think that Graham Gano, the golden boot, comes through. He makes a big moment happen, and he wins this game for us as we drive down the field. I think Saquon Barkley has a couple of just great runs down the stretch there. They waste out the clock and they kick it through. Anthony, what are you thinking? What's your score prediction? Guys, leave your prediction in the comment section as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go 27-24 Giants. Not necessarily that it's going to be a game-winning field goal. I think that Daniel Jones goes down there and he gets the team on the board late in the game with a game-winning drive. I think I'm going to predict Saquon Barkley rushes it in for the game winner behind a great drive put together by Daniel Jones, again, late in the fourth quarter. And then I think the Giants defense is going to have to make a stop as well. Pretty much similar ending to last game, 27-24. I think it's really just going to be a repeat. Because that's just kind of how the Giants are playing every week. The games kind of feel the same. They're ending the same way, and the Giants are somehow coming out on top. But again, this is a very, very tough matchup. If the Seahawks crack 30 points, I'm not confident that the Giants are winning this. The Giants defense has to put in the work. Bend, don't break defense. That's the key. That's the formula to winning. And again, the Giants offense needs to play clean football, capitalize on the other team's mistakes. That's how they beat the Seahawks today.
Yeah, absolutely. And for some of you guys, 27-20 from Steven, 35-21. Wow. We got to get over 30 at least once. That'd be pretty cool, Big Nuts. An angry bus driver, 7-1 Giants. I love to see that. And 24-21, my score as well from Phillip. And Geno needs to feed McKinney. Yeah, that would be great. I'd love if Geno Smith just threw a couple picks to our safeties and, we walked away with that winning turnover battle. And that's the catalyst, in my opinion. Clean football, smart football from Daniel Jones, and the Giants protecting it at all costs and walking away with that advantage. If you win the turnover battle, more often than not, you're winning the game. So I think that's kind of the big variable here for this Giants team. But guys, enjoy this game today. Hopefully, by the time we talk to you after the game in the post-game recap and reaction, we're 7-1 going into the bye week. You're getting some healthy guys back in the future. Just got Nick Gates back and Ellerson Smith. Maybe we get back Evan Neal in a couple of weeks. I know Ben Bredesen's on IR, so he'll miss the next couple games. But Azeez Ojulari also will be back in a couple of weeks, we hope. So, we're optimistic here. We can definitely get healthy. And I know Saquon's been kind of bothered with that shoulder issue. So we can also get a little bit of time to rest and come back for the second half and absolutely dominate. And crazy stat before we log off, the Giants, Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are on pace to have the most rushing yards from a quarterback running back combination in the history of the game. So let's keep going. I didn't even realize. I was doing the numbers. I was like, wait, this is kind of insane. They're doing some crazy things right now. And Big Nuts, I think Wandale as well. I have him starting my fantasy league. With Jamar Chase out. I think he's going to have a big day today. A lot of good PPR production for him. But enjoy the game, my friends. We'll catch you guys on the post game. And let's go Giants.